Hey everyone, good morning to you on this auspicious day. Good morning, good morning. How are you, friends? Yes, it is the day. Good morning, John. Good morning and happy 11/11 anniversary. This is it. Today was the day that uh, we made the decision to close down the platform for a bit, and yesterday was the day that tomorrow is the day that the first 11/11 was born. Good morning, Bill. Glad you're here with us. Hope you're having a good morning. That's right. It has been a full year. We uh, we will begin the second year tomorrow. Good morning, Priscilla. Rain here. Yes, it's threatening to rain here too, but it when I was taking Poco out first morning, it definitely had a much more of a feel of spring rain to it. So I am grateful for that. It didn't have that heavy winter feel. So things continue to change and turn. Good morning, Bob Guinan. Glad you're here this morning. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Uh, so so grateful you're here. I appreciate the rock that you are on our diaconate and all the care that you give your fellow warriors and working. Bob's done such a great job uh, helping to bring the Vietnam Memorial, which there are five great big memorials that are going on around the country that are three-quarter size of the Vietnam Wall, and one of them are going to be here in Fall River that is going to be dedicated in May. And but yeah, Bob's done a great job with all manner of things in helping with that, and it's to be a tribute to his fellow veterans that served in Vietnam. Good morning, Sherry. Glad you're here. Hey, hope everybody's good in your world. So good to see you. Good morning, Robin Carden. Robin, my favorite soda bread eater in all the world. That's not much of an honor, I know. There's a lot of more favorite things I have about her than that, but uh, you know, that's it. Just there's a good morning, Irene. Hope you are doing all right. Hope things are holding together. That uh, and that it is well with your soul. Good morning, everyone. I've got a few more folks coming in, it looks like, so we'll give it a moment and then begin on this auspicious day of the true completion of this 1 year lap of 11/11s. I haven't added them up. I took some weeks off. Initially, the first 80 or so days more straight, and then I've yet to go back. It's a little scary for me to consider the adding them up. Prayers for your daughter today. You bet. You bet. We will hold her in our prayers. Uh, so, yes, as this community journeys, I would encourage you to pray for Irene's daughter, Jessie. Uh, they have much movement and much living going on there, and so hold them dear if you would. I gratefully accept the honor of being your favorite fan. Oh, that's so nice. See, she's just nice. So that is terrific. Welcome, everybody. It is this day, the 18th day of March, and here we are at having completing a year. Uh, if you don't remember of 11/11s, but if you are have joined the party along the way. Uh, Last year at 3:18 this day, we made the decision to go quiet on our platform for a while, and tomorrow 3:19 is the anniversary of the very first 11:11, and it has been ongoing now for a year. So this is our anniversary time together, where we have found ourselves. So for the first 90 days or so, 80 some odd days, I was here every day. And if you were part of that time, that was a powerful time with all of the craziness of the world and all the uncertainty and the 2 weeks to flatten the curve and the all the different things that were a part of that time and the uncertainty of it. And after about 80 some odd days, we shifted gears to this meeting as we are now 3 times a week, and have been meeting this thusly so far. And so it has been such an honor to walk through this crazy year with each one of you. We keep coming. There's a scripture that we kept coming back to as I went and kind of looked through these a bit, and it is this scripture from Philippians 4, and I think I want to revisit it now because I think speaks perfectly to what we've been up to and what we're going to continue to be up to, and what this little community of that we've gathered online from with our central group here at First Congregational Church, and then our wider diaspora of folks that are spread about the earth. That we find ourselves, I think, in this Philippians 4 place. See, one of the things is the church in Philippi was probably, the case can be made, Paul's favorite church. They rallied around Paul the way a few other of the churches in the New Testament did. And he started them and all of that sort of stuff, but they were a real rock to him. So here's this time, and he writes them this letter to the church in Philippi, and he thanks, and so and all of this thing that we've been coming back to was his encouragement to them at the end of this letter. This notion that we should rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. You've heard me say that a number of times over this year if you journeyed with us. But then he goes on to do something else. Then he goes on to thank them for their gifts, because what happened is Paul is writing this from prison. He's in lockdown. He is in a Roman jail cell, locked up. And so the church in Philippi hear about this, and they get a bunch of money together, and they give it to Aphrodisias, and Aphrodisias goes to Rome and brings him these gifts, brings him this money that they get together to help spring him out of the clink and to supply his ministry. He doesn't ask them. He doesn't like, hey guys, can you help me out? They simply willingly come and offer him these gifts. Morning, Jamie. I hope you're going to keep going. Yes, we're going to keep this ministry going. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And so Paul, in his journeying, has this incredible grace bestowed upon him of this love of this church in Philippi. And he writes this about thanking them for their gifts. He says, I rejoiced greatly in the Lord that at last you renewed your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned, but you had no opportunity to show it. I am not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content with whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through Christ who gives me strength. I can do all this through Christ who gives me strength. I have learned how to be content with what is, says Paul. But he says, I rejoiced greatly in the Lord that you at last renewed your concern for me. See, they actually had a great deal of concern for him. They had taken this collection, but it's the ancient world. Nothing moves faster than a horse. All this stuff takes time, and he's rotting away in a jail cell. And he really thought this church had forgotten about him. He really thought the world, in all of these churches that he'd planted, all of this ministry that he'd done, all of this way that he had poured himself out as a libation, that as you might have heard, that this whole notion that he's offered something to the world, and now in the jail in Rome, he's alone and forgotten and body broken, beaten up, so when he says these words, I rejoice greatly in Lord that at last you renewed your concern for me, that it was that they came through for him. Because he ends this time where he says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. He says, yet, it was good of you to share my troubles. Friends, I think that's the little motto of what we have been encountering this year in our journeying together, in what we have offered one another, in our encouragement and in our prayers, what we have given each other in our time and our inspiration. What kind of meager kind of thoughts I am as a kind of monkey banging cymbals together over here, as beating the drum, as kind of we talked about St. Patrick yesterday. My job, I'm just a little drummer boy here, just banging away. I often think of my ministry as kind of like, that little wind up monkey with the cymbals, like, it's more that than it is anything, just to keep the music going to some degree or another. And yet, the true power of the witness of the gospel of Jesus Christ comes with these words, I think, from Paul, where he says, yet. Yeah, I can survive. Yeah, I can draw strength from Christ who strengthens me. Yeah, you and I, we'd have made it through this, and we'll continue to make it through this together. But it was good of you to share in my troubles. We have shared in each other's troubles this year. That is what's taken on. And if you're and if you're just here for the first time today, if you're here, if you found this on some silly Google search and you're just like, what's this guy talking about? You're sharing in the troubles right now. It doesn't matter how long you've been on this journey with us. You, by virtue of finding yourself here, by virtue of being a part of this, by virtue of hearing my voice, you are sharing in our troubles, my troubles, your troubles. You are finding a way to make what is discontenting, what is disturbing, what is difficult and breaking and disorienting, that all the things that this year has brought us to the place where we truly can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, because it is good that we share in one another's troubles. I often think of one of my favorite little mystics out there is Julian of Norwich, and Julian has this line in which she says that all shall be well, all manner of things shall be well, and all shall be well. I know that there's this way of saying that it is not in the, and that's awesome. And in our little kind of John Wayne culture or our independent culture, we want to say that I have the independent relationship with Jesus and all of that. But it is impossible for us as people of spirit to be that alone, because we're called to love each other. The great command is love one another. The great command is care for each other. When we began this thing, the one piece of instruction I offered you and have continued to punctuate again and again and again as the strategy for which we might form and work our way through, and I try to make it as simple as possible and I try to make it as basic as possible, is that we every day do two things. Every day we do two things. We give thanks, find something to be thankful for. Find something to be thankful for. Find something in which we can find some contentment. G.K. Chesterton says it this way. He says, true contentment is the power of getting out of any situation all that there is in it. The power of getting out of any situation all that is in it. And that power isn't my power and it's not your power, because what encompasses all that is in it is ours together, and it is also Christ to bestow us. It's us to be on the lookout for all that any situation might contain, no matter if a big old heap of it is grief or a big old heap of it is fear. Underneath all of those things, there is still life, and life in abundance. It is good that you share in my troubles, and it is good that we share in one another's troubles. So I said, the first thing, find something to be thankful for. The second thing, reach out to somebody and check on them. Willfully connect with someone else with the goal of seeing how they are doing. Reach out beyond your little self and with no other agenda than to simply check on someone else. And I'm telling, and I offered you this not because it simply, strengthens the ties that bind between us, but I offered it to you because when we put ourselves in such a sphere as thankfulness, finding something to draw out the power of all that is in the situation, the ability to draw out that which is great, that which is good, even in that which is sorrowful. And then we put ourselves in such a state to say, I'm going to check on somebody else with no other agenda than to ensure their welfare. We put ourselves in that position. Well, we put ourselves in the position like the early church in Philippi, who rallies around, who discovers that Paul is in jail, and brings together their resources and sends it out to them. And they receive, and that here we are, 1900 and whatever years later, talking about their act. Not bad for a simple act of kindness. Not bad for the simple act of it being good of them to share in Paul's troubles. This is what endures, friends. This is what endures. We think the kingdom of the world, we think the power, we think the presidents, we think all of the grand powers of the world and the things out there that endure over time, that all of those things, but that's not the reality. The reality of that which endures is this little community, this little gathering that you and I have created over this crazy little medium of electrons flying around with each other, that all of this that we have in our journeying connected and loved, that even though we might know in this what it is to be able to endure being hungry and be able to endure being well fed and all the things in between. Because Christ gives us strength, it is good that we share our troubles. There's a story about a man who ended up going around the country, and his whole thing was that he wanted to know what people would do if they had one more day to live. And so he's walking down the road, and there's this woman out in her garden. And in the garden, she's just hoeing her garden, and her kids are around the edges playing, and she's like, "Hey, get out of the mud puddle!" And she's working that, and then her neighbors are over the fence, and she's like, "Hi, Betty, hi, oh," and they're back and forth. And so he observes the scene for a moment. And he says, "I should ask her." And so he walks up and he says, "Ma'am, excuse me, I'd like to ask you a question. If this were your last day on earth, if tomorrow it was certain that you would die, what is it that you would be doing today?" And "Oh," she said, "I would go on hoeing my garden and taking care of my children and talking to my neighbors." One of the things this year has brought us is the encounter with what might we not do. What might our last day look like? That we've encountered a bit of our mortality in this days, and either seeing people sick around us, hearing the sickness of the world, that gestalt, that energy, it penetrates us even if we don't want it to. It's the water that we end up swimming in. And I think the great advantage of this, the great invitation, and the great possible joy of it is that we might be able to truly ask ourselves that question. If this were our last day on earth, if tomorrow it was certain we would die, what would we be doing today? And I'd like to think I will answer that by one of the things I do is like to talk to all of you, spend a little time with each one of you, and come to this place where we might remember that we return to again and again and again to renew our concern for each other. Yeah, maybe to hear something that gives us hope or endures for the day, but also to rejoice greatly in the Lord and know that it is good that we have shared our troubles. So whether you're here live or whether you catch this today, whether you catch this later, know you're a part of this journey. Whether this is the first time you're hearing this, know that you're a part of this journey. Know that this gathering has been an encouragement for me, and I hope it's been an encouragement for you. And yes, Bill, it's going to continue to go on and continue to be an encouragement is the great hope that we'll continue to offer our gifts to one another, and the gifts are not just, like, Aphrodisias, he showed up with a bag of money trying to bring him out of jail. But so often the gifts that you have showed up with are your fears and your griefs and your worries and your concerns. And we have again and again and again rallied around you, as you have rallied around me, to offer up that acceptable sacrifice, that beautiful thing, that good of sharing our troubles together. All right, friends. I stand humbled and grateful for all of you that have been on this journey for this last year, and I hope that you will find in these days and in this continuing journey that it is good that we might share our time. It is good and right that there is, and that that goodness in your life, and that through all of this, that all the ground we've covered and all the ground we'll continue to cover You will know those grand words of Julian that might ring out as that little subtext underneath all things that are said, because it's not about what is said, but it is about what our gathering in it, our gathering in the Word, and in that great declaration of Sister Julian. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well, I know. All right, friends. That is my hope for you. That is our 11:11 for this year. So, and for this week. So I hope you will continue to journey with us next week. We'll be back again, and we will have this Sunday. We are worshiping at 10 o'clock on Facebook Live and in person. I hope you will come and be a part of that journey. And as also, we will be back at 11:11 on Tuesday next week. Thanks for a great year, gang. Let's do it again. All right. Peace and grace, my friends.